even the only one, and they're getting a great price on a property as well. So I think if you are a serious buyer watching or listening to this, like, get off the fence. Now's the time. And there's some other reasons we'll talk about here in a minute that the timing is perfect for you as well. But I think as a seller, like, it is such a hot market right now because so many people, like Lindsay said, they took their houses off the market. There was already limited inventory. Now there's even less. So you're talking about a scenario where if you have a good agent, if they're utilizing technology, if they're embracing what's going on now instead of shying away from it, you have this huge captive audience of buyers that are literally sitting there licking their chops, ready to look at your property. They're okay with the social distancing stuff we're talking about. They're okay with the virtual tours. Yes, at some point they might want to go in, but as far as like starting the process and getting a good prospective buyer, if you're a seller, like, don't hold off, because if you do, you're going to see a huge abundance. I believe when all this is put behind us, or as you said, it becomes the new normal, all these people are going to come and be putting their houses on the market. And I'm sure we'll still have quote unquote limited inventory, but you know, to have your house there now when there's less competition, you know, there's even more stringent amounts of properties, like, it's just such great timing. So embrace the opportunity. Don't shy away from it, because you may find you could sell your house very quickly and for more than you may believe that you're able to, for, again, some other reasons that we'll continue to discuss. So shifting over to talking about the home buying process and the timeline of buying a home, you know, I think you'd agree, you know, typically like a 30 to 60 day contract time was pretty typical always. Are you seeing any delays on your side with people buying a home? And if so, what is causing those delays? And are we still able to meet that 30 to 60 day timeline, which is, you know, the normal timeline in a typical environment?
I'm definitely seeing the 30 to 60 days is fine. I have had 2 transactions now that are taking a little longer. Again, it's mostly on the mortgage side. A lot of people aren't used to working from home or not being in the office, so things are very different. That's really the only process I'm seeing take longer. The inspectors, they're out, they're going, they're part of the essential businesses. So it is taking a little longer. I've noticed banks are definitely verifying information sooner. You can probably speak more on this. I know normally they call the employer 3 days before. I'm being told they're even requesting more information now to make sure there are any layoffs or people haven't quit their jobs. So that I've kind of noticed is taking a little longer. But then yesterday I put in an offer, it got accepted, the lender confirmed the file was going to go quick, and we need a fast closing. Pretty standard, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, not too bad, but we need it done, and they confirmed it was going to happen. So quick closings are still happening. I'm anxious to see how it does work out, but everyone's working fast. Everyone's now used to working remotely, so closings are happening. Just a little differently, you know, signing the paperwork in the parking lots, not sitting at a desk, but it's exciting. I mean, it's happening for sure.
Okay. So yeah, and I can speak a little more to that being on the mortgage side. First of all, in the normal days, as I'll call them, like a fast closing was like a 2-week closing, like 2 to 3 weeks was considered a fast closing for a mortgage transaction. Obviously, if you're a cash buyer, those are still, I'm sure, going very quick without these delays we're talking about, because there's no mortgage involved. There's no loan processing. So with that said, on the mortgage side, you know, I would say, as you mentioned, 30 to 60 day is probably the norm, and the quick closing is like that 3 to 4 weeks. So I don't think getting a mortgage process in like 2 or 3 weeks right now is probably not going to happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. If your lender's got their act together, if you've got your act together and things are, you know, just all in line and the dominoes are falling quick, it could happen, but be prepared. You know, like we were saying, 30 to 60 days is going to be the normal timeline. If you need a week or two sooner, then just make sure that's communicated up front, and make sure you've got a lender and a buyer that is really able to stay on top of things to make that happen. So talking about some other changes on the mortgage side, to segue off of what you were mentioning, is the income sustainability. So lenders right now are doing more verification, not only of your income, but your actual job. Like, do you have a job? Is your job stable? What industry are you in? If you're in hospitality, if you're in one of these industries that's had massive layoffs, if you're in retail, like there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. So I would say if you are in one of those industries and maybe you're not working right now, you've got limited hours, I wouldn't put this on the back burner. I would still get with a lender, get pre-approved, get everything ready to roll. So the minute you get back to work and we can show that income and that full-time position that you've got, then you can immediately proceed instead of having to start from square one. Have all the rest of your ducks in a row as far as your money for your down payment, your credit, all the rest of it, with just having that one last piece of information being that you're back to work. Self-employed people, that can be a huge issue right now. There's a lot of extra documentation and verification that's going on with self-employed individuals. It used to be we just got a year or two of tax returns and that was that. They verify you're still in business on the Secretary of State website or with your CPA, and that's all the verification. Now there's some extra questions being asked, like how is your business being impacted by the current environment? Are you still making sales? Do you have money in reserve for your business if this continues on for many months? These are things that self-employed people never had to deal with at any point before, and now they are. But if you've got a business like an online company or a company that's not affected, then it's not going to be a problem. You might have to answer a few more questions. You might have to provide a few extra pieces of paperwork to prove that you are still earning income and doing business. But, you shouldn't have an issue if that's your case. And again, self-employed, same thing as I said to, your normal W-2 employees, which is get pre-approved now, get everything lined up and in place so that when things are back and you're making money again, you can proceed with your home purchase transaction. Interest rates. So I want to talk about that because right now they are at all-time lows. Okay. The interest rates have never been as good as they are right now in April 2020 going into May here. So that's going to allow you as a buyer the ability to qualify for a home that maybe a year ago would be $325,000. Now you can get that same property for the price of $300,000 as far as your monthly payment because the rates are half a point or a point better than they were. As a seller, this means that you can have a better priced property. You can make more money because the buyer's payment is going to be lower. And the realistic point of view is that especially first-time buyers, I think you'd agree, are obsessed with their monthly payment. What is my monthly payment going to be? Because they're comparing it to when they rented or whatnot. So, we can make that monthly payment less by having a lower interest rate. Can you talk about what you're seeing with your buyers as far as the interest rates, like impacting just the overall ability to get a home and keep that payment affordable?
I've definitely seen a lot of my clients that have kind of been waiting, keeping an eye on everything. Now that, like you said, these rates are phenomenal, now they're coming out. Now they're finishing the pre-approval process. They're making sure they're ready. They want to buy. That's huge for them. Mostly first-time home buyers, they want to make sure they can still make that investment and have a home, but still have money to go on vacation and have a life. So having a low interest rate, it's huge. It's very important to them. So it's perfect right now. Like I said, I have several clients that are now, they're coming out and they're ready to start the process.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that the rates, we're not talking about adjustable mortgages, which can go up and down. We're talking about locking rates in the threes, okay, or high twos, depending on your buying profile, on long-term fixed rate money, like 15-year, 20-year, 30-year fixed. I mean, to lock in a 30-year rate in the 3% range, it's unheard of. And that means like when inflation happens, which is going to happen in the next 30 years, when rates go up, which is going to happen, based on everything going on, like you're locked in. You don't have to worry about your payments going up. You don't have to worry about 10 years from now, the landlord's going to raise my rent or the mortgage company is going to raise my payment like on an adjustable mortgage, which used to be very common. Now I'm not really even seeing anybody taking advantage of those. There's no benefit when you can lock in long-term money at such a low rate, like take advantage, because this is that historical time we're going to look back in 10, 20 years and be like, wow, we had this opportunity to lock in these low rates at this point, really due to what's going on. So the other thing I wanted to talk about real quick on the mortgage side